Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong?
Welcome to episode 35 of the Hodgepodge Podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And today we'll be discussing The Amazing Spider-Man 2, as well as the other Spider-Man movies. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com, or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or on my review blog, dovreviews.blogspot.com, or you can find us on iTunes. Just search for the Hodgepodge Podcast in the iTunes store and subscribe. And today is D-Day. We just talked about the Star Wars cast the last time, and on our bonus episode.
Yeah.
And we promised...
That's just on kind of a high.
Yes, and we promised this episode was coming, and I gave you a little sneak peek that we weren't too pleased with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Today we are joined by our good friend, author Matt King. Welcome, Matt!
Hey, buddy.
What's up, guys? All right.
Where is your Spider-Man now?
Okay. I feel like I should have worn black to this podcast.
Well, you're wearing an Optimus Prime t-shirt, so that...
I am, because this is as close as I'm going to get to Transformers 4.
You keep saying that.
You keep saying that. You'll be there.
No, blood oath. I am not going to watch that movie.
You didn't make a blood oath with anybody.
I did.
You're full of crap. Anyway, so we saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I would say The Unamazing Spider-Man, but that doesn't quite do justice.
Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Man. This movie, it's a continuation of 2012's. I always want to say 2011, but it was 2012.
Yeah.
2012's Amazing Spider-Man, where Mark Webb, the director of 500 Days of Summer, and was clearly the perfect choice for this franchise because his last name is Webb. He rebooted the whole thing and made Amazing Spider-Man, which was essentially Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, just they called the Green Goblin the Lizard.
Right.
It wasn't the Lizard, they just called the Green Goblin the Lizard. And so now this is the second one in that series. Andrew Garfield is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Emma Stone is Gwen Stacy. And this one has a plethora of villains.
Yeah.
You've got Jamie Foxx is Electro. You've got... and by the way, before we even get started, spoilers out the ass. It's going to be spoiler-tastic because we need to really dissect this film.
Right.
Right, that's what this film needs, more dissection.
You need to comb through this turd.
You've got Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn, Green Goblin. And you had Paul Giamatti, who is basically a cameo, but he's the Rhino.
And then they set up about 4 different other villains.
Yeah, and they set up 4 different villains because Sony says, how do we compete with Avengers when we only have one superhero in our stable? Yeah. I know, let's make movies about supervillains. Because
good idea.
That's how you build a franchise.
Let's spark it off all in one movie.
Yeah, right.
We're not gonna build up to it in a series. We're just all in one movie. Go for it.
The biggest problem with this movie, there's 2 problems with this movie.
Oh,
and
two problems.
And their names are Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are a cancer on whatever project I would say at least what they write for. I haven't watched that Sleepy Hollow show. I know you watch it, right?
No,
you don't?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Some people like it. I've heard that when they produce stuff only, it's okay. But whenever they write stuff, it is a god-awful mess.
Right.
And this is no different.
Except for... Oh, wait.
So what have they done? So they've done Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Did they do Amazing Spider-Man 1?
They did not.
They did not.
They
Okay.
did not do that one.
They did Transformers...
Most of them.
3?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought they did 2 as well.
No, 2 was during the writer's strike. So
that's
they
right,
might have come in after the fact and
did they do 1?
Worked
really
on it,
polished it up.
Did they talk about polishing a turd?
Yeah.
Did they do Transformers 1?
I don't know if they did 1. I'm pretty sure they did 3, and then they did
the Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which, in hindsight, was their best movie.
Yeah, after you see this.
After you see this, you're like, oh, wow, that's an Oscar winner.
Now, I've heard that their writing partnership has dissolved, and they're basically both going their own ways. But IMDb still has them listed as the screenwriters going forward for these Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I thought I don't remember exactly where this was, but there was an interview where they were talking about that, and I think that they are going to do the next one.
Oh God!
But then they're splitting up, and then like I forget if it's Orci or Kurtzman that's going to take over and do either the Sinister Six or Venom.
Right. Okay.
He's going to direct it.
No, Sinister Six is somebody else. That's Drew Goddard. He's doing Sinister Six.
Oh, he's also doing Daredevil.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, I thought he was doing Sinister. I might be wrong. Maybe it is Daredevil.
You mean the Netflix Daredevil?
He's doing Netflix Daredevil. That's probably what I'm thinking of.
He might.
But I thought he was doing Sinister Six as well.
He might be involved there. I just know that Orsi's doing one of those upcoming movies.
All right.
And he wants to direct it.
He wants to direct Star Trek, the next Star Trek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he didn't make the last one shitty enough. Sorry, I know you liked it, but
I didn't mind it.
But you also didn't see Wrath of Khan until after you saw
That's
that.
correct.
So.
That's correct.
Oh well. Okay.
I didn't know
that makes
about
a
that
difference.
universe. Yeah.
To sum up how this movie goes, basically, about 20 minutes in, I turned to Dirty A, and I said only 2 words come to mind: Batman Forever, and that's pretty much what this movie is.
Yeah.
The tone is all over the place.
Yep.
I will start off with the pros of the movie. Garfield is good. I liked him as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's just the writing sucks, and he can only do what he can
that's
do.
the same with most of the acting. I mean,
it's like Ryan Reynolds in Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds was not the problem in Green Lantern.
Right.
He got blamed.
It was the script.
He got blamed. That script was awful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Emma Stone's great as Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Their chemistry together is great. It does get a little too cutesy.
Better on Saturday Night Live.
It was better on Saturday Night Live, I thought. Yeah.
Was she on it?
Yeah, she appeared on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
His Saturday Night Live episode was like 5 million times better than this movie.
Okay.
It was hilarious. And he can do a great Justin Timberlake.
He did do good JT there.
Jamie Foxx, I don't know if it's the way they wrote it or if it's the way... If the last movie he saw was... The last superhero movie he saw was Batman Forever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think... To his credit, I fully believe he played it the way they wrote it, the way they intended him to be played. It was just...
I wouldn't blame him. I think,
for lack of a better word, it was comical.
Yeah. No, they have this problem. They want to concentrate on the villains so much, both in this movie and in the future movies that they're setting up. The problem is their villains are just... they're cartoonish.
Yeah.
And
Exactly right.
Spider-Man is portrayed pretty well, I think, for the most part. But the villains are just... You were right about Batman Forever. I mean, that was a Jim Carrey...
He was straight up the
special.
Riddler. He was straight up the Jim Carrey Riddler from Batman Forever.
That's exactly who it was. That scene where he's talking to himself in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's just... It was such a caricature. I mean, he had, like, the pocket protector. And,
everything.
His hair's all slicked to the side. And they're just really poorly written characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't blame Jamie Foxx. It was just a bad role.
Yeah. And then Dane DeHaan is Harry Osborn, Peter Parker's best friend that he hasn't seen for 10 years, and they're only 18.
Since they were like 11.
Yeah, so they're best friends. It's so stupid. And
it wasn't even mentioned in the last movie.
No, it wasn't even mentioned in the last movie.
Best friends.
His rich best friend who walks into Norman Osborn's dying. He walks into his father's deathbed room, and immediately the father's just like, "You're a waste. I hate your face."
But here's my entire fortune, company, and everything that I own.
I'm entrusting everything to you.
Right.
You failure of a little boy.
And by the way, it's all on this little thing right here.
Yeah.
You good luck figuring out what to do with it.
But I'm not going to
tell you what it is or how to use it.
This is my company. I'm not going to tell you how to use this little chip that I gave you. It unlocks everything.
By the way, I'm dying of this genetic disease. I'm in my 60s, but it's going to kill you apparently in a week, according to the script.
Yeah. You and I have the exact same disease. I'm 60. You're going to die next week.
Right.
So that sets up the quote-unquote motivation for Harry Osborn. He wants Spider-Man's blood for some reason. He thinks that's going to help cure him.
He could do everything
A spider can. That was I completely jumped the shark for me at that moment. It was done before that. But when Harry Osborn has a sinister voice and says he can do whatever a spider can, I was like, "Yep, okay."
I literally threatened to leave like 5 times, and every time I turned to Matt, he had his hand over his face, like, "Oh my god."
My hero being destroyed right in front of my very eyes.
That's what it was. It was watching my favorite character of all time just get shat upon for 2 hours.
The Paul Giamatti, if you thought Jamie Foxx was cartoonish, Paul Giamatti is like right out of a cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, he is ridiculously over
the only
top.
saving grace for that is that he's only on screen for like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yes. There was a real Joel Schumacher vibe coming from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, like I said, the tone is all over the place because you'll have scenes with Sally Field and Andrew Garfield, which are like serious scenes, and there's like drama there. Scenes between him and Gwen Stacy, serious stuff that was good. It was pretty good. And then it just goes into like cartoonish camp, and I mean, that German doctor was a joke at the asylum.
Oh, God.
I mean, he was literally like caricature German doctor.
Yep.
It was just, and I'm watching this. I'm just like, oh my God, this is totally a Joel Schumacher Batman movie.
Yeah. Mad German scientists.
And apparently, it's really easy to get in and out of a insane asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, a heavily fortified insane asylum.
It does not take much.
At least Katie Holmes had a reason to be there in Batman Begins.
And they do this in a heck of a lot of movies. But then going back to his father's work.
Oh,
and
God.
When they're on the plane and
God.
he somehow has a landline, a wired line in midair to the internet. Not sure.
And P.S. This was also supposed to be like 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Not sure where that comes from. Right, exactly right.
Yeah.
But
It was very advanced.
His
yeah. Why was a private plane? Where did the private plane come
he
from?
knows he's gonna die, right? And he set up this fail-safe,
right?
So that people know, right? But his fail-safe is to send it to his secret lab that only he knows about that will probably never be found.
Except that Peter, because he planned for him to bust that calculator open one day,
right?
With all the tokens in it,
and then go, wait, tokens?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I need to go to the Roosevelt line. No, see, that doesn't work for me at all.
And then the other thing that, and this is a big spoiler, but it's lame, so we don't mind spoiling it, is that it turns out in this film universe, only Peter Parker could have become Spider-Man because his blood, the father's DNA was in the spider venom for the spiders. Blah 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 blah.
His father's blood was used to make the radioactive spider.
It destroys the entire point of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Was that he randomly became Spider-Man, and then he learns that with great power comes great responsibility, and then he takes it upon himself to be Spider-Man, to continue being Spider-Man.
It's still technically random. But the coincidental randomness.
I'm just going to go on record saying that decision to put this parents storyline in the first movie and in the second movie has destroyed this franchise.
Completely,
it already has,
completely unnecessary. Yeah. It doesn't serve any real driving purpose.
The only reason it's in there is to make it different from Sam Raimi's.
Exactly right. That's the only thing that they wrote it to make his origin story different.
Yep.
And it serves no purpose, and his real origin story is much better.
If I'm not mistaken, the only time that they ever mentioned his parents was in the original comics, because I'll get to the Ultimate Universe in a second, but in the original comics, I think they did like a flashback. They did like that flashback month where they were all -1 issues, and apparently they were agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
But like, as far as I know, that's the only time they ever mentioned his parents. In the Ultimate Universe, his father was a scientist, and he worked with Eddie Brock's father to develop the Venom thing. Mm-hmm. I would have been totally cool if they had done that.
Yeah.
But in this movie, Richard Parker apparently created not just Spider-Man, but apparently he is going to create every single one of Spider-Man's villains ever that he'll ever meet.
Norman create every single villain that's going to be in the Spider-Man universe.
Vulture, Rhino, Doc Ock.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
That's stupid.
You're right. That completely
defeats the purpose of Doc Ock.
Having Doc Ock himself, who was himself a scientist, completely, you could give that to anyone. Doesn't matter.
One they think was Craven. They think one of them was Craven.
One was Craven. One might be either
Chameleon.
Mysterio or Chameleon. And then there's
they didn't actually show
Goblin.
those
the Goblin,
costumes, right?
They showed symbols that sort of maybe could have been them. Because like with the Chameleon Mysterio one, it had a face that looked like Chameleon, but it had smoke in it, which is like Mysterio he has in the fishbowl head. Yeah. Which of course they won't do in this, but
who knows?
They should. But Kraven the Hunter makes zero sense at all. Why he would be involved with that at all?
He'll probably end up being like the head of security at Oscorp.
Oh God!
Hunting down all the people trying to rob him.
the reason why the Doc Ock thing doesn't work, I mean, if they had made him a scientist at Oscorp or something like that who had a horrible accident, that's totally cool, and that's
he
fine.
He has access to the technology.
But the point was, he created the arms.
That's right.
He made them. And then the other thing is that they say at the end of the movie, bring in the volunteers to become these supervillains. It's like, he's not a volunteer.
Right.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so stupid. And I read it was in Collider, I guess it was. Matt Goldberg's review in Collider. And he summed it up perfectly. He said, Sony is just putting the franchise cart before the horse.
Yes.
And they're basically sacrificing the quality of the movie to set up this franchise that nobody's asking for except for the Sony shareholders. And they're just going to drive this into the ground. And they're going to keep on making these fucking movies. Marvel's never going to get the rights back to Spider-Man.
Nope.
At least with X-Men, you have, like, Lauren Shuler-Donner, who's been involved from the beginning. And she's trying to, like, make it work. And she's like, well, we're trying to go for this. We're seeing what they can do. And they're facing opposition from Fox. But, I mean, Sony, it's like, Avi Arad, fuck that guy.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. They have their golden ticket, right? I mean, you know, they have their cash cow, and they'll use it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're not going to go see the next one.
Yeah, I guess. But, I mean, it's...
Will you take a blood oath right now not to go see Spider-Man 3?
No, I won't, because it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as Transformers 4.
That's true. I'll give it that. That's true.
Yeah.
That I believe.
I think we just found a Transformer.
Sam! Kill them all! The most Optimus Prime.
Right. Because that is what Optimus Prime would do.
He's a badass murderer.
He's a vigilante to his core.
I hate that movie.
He's a soldier fighting in a war.
A soldier of love.
Yeah. Any last words?
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Screw Michael Bay. Anyway,
Spider-Man. We really don't want to talk about this because there's just... You know, the scene I get with us sitting here sifting through this movie is in Jurassic Park when she's got the big glove on going through the giant turd.
Yes.
looking through the giant turd, just sifting through. That's kind of what we're doing right now.
We're just trying to find the berries to see if the berries made this
Is you
thing.
pregnant? What's the next one going to be?
No.
What made this movie shitty? Here, come on, let's comb through this.
There's two berries. Orsi and Kurtzman.
Yeah.
Look, their names are on it. The action, some of it was okay. I liked some of the stuff they did with Spider-Man. Some of the CGI looked real bad.
A lot of it was
like he looked like an actual cartoon character on the screen at one point.
You could almost see the wireframes.
Well, and a lot of the action you could tell was put in specifically the camera shots, I should say, for 3D effect, which don't play at all when you're watching it in 2D.
We should preface. We saw this in but we should say we saw this in 2D.
I don't think it's certainly going to matter.
No, it's not. It moves too fast.
But right. But yeah, they slow it down so many times, the action to a crawl to get you to see things, and then that last shot of his web, that was
oh God, the
with the fingers coming out of the
God.
I mean, it started out as a line of spoons.
It was semen.
Yeah, it was semen, and it's flying straight towards her face,
right.
And then it turns into this hand with the fingers reaching out for her. Ugh, I'm gonna flip this table.
Yeah, it was bad.
Speaking of the action and all that stuff, I was ready to walk out literally 10 minutes into this movie where you mentioned the plane scene when they're on the plane. There is so much shaky cam on that. And I don't mind shaky cam as much. I thought I was going to be sick. Yeah. There was so much. It's like they were rocking the plane back and forth, and there was that's not enough. And they started actually physically shaking the camera to make it beyond ridiculous.
Yeah. It's funny. I watched this horrible movie, and then the next day I went and saw Captain America again, The Winter Soldier, which also has shaky cam.
It does. It does.
You're still like 2 less than Doug.
Probably. Yeah. So the difference though is with The Winter Soldier, I could tell everything that was going on in the first scene. Yeah. It was shaky cam, but it was not
because they keep it in frame.
It was not in a dryer. You know? It was not. And it was just bad in that airplane scene.
Yeah. Oh God. Our friend
turned to me. That opening Captain America scene was freaking phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
everyone should take.
That's the reason why I want to see it 4 times.
Everyone should take a page out of that action scene. That 3 to 5 minute sequence there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between making it look realistic and making it vomit worthy.
Right.
Yeah. So we're not going to delve into this anymore. I mean, you got the point. Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, is a stinker. People will go and like it because they just want to go see dumb superhero action movie. But if you're actually looking for like a story and characters you care about, what I write in my post? Oh yeah, you'll love Amazing Spider-Man 2 if you have no idea who or what Spider-Man is.
And by the way, we didn't go into this wanting to dump on this movie.
No, we didn't. We wanted to like it.
And wanted to love this movie.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
this isn't like a Transformers for us where we go in basically almost having our minds made up.
Right.
I hate to say that, but no, we all know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
No, this movie, we wanted to love it. I speaking for myself, went in with zero expectation, just hoping for a solid movie, and it in no way, shape, or form is a solid movie. I don't care. You take any kind of comic book canon you want out of this movie. The movie itself is just shit.
Yeah, it's just a poorly written movie. It's just bad.
I mean, it's like I was telling you earlier. It's not about nerd rage.
Yeah.
This is not...
That's right.
They're not doing it exactly like the comics. It's a bad movie.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It's just really bad.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to see.
Yeah.
And that it gets rewarded by, $92 million opening weekend.
Here's the thing, though. You know what? $92 million is a lot. But they were expecting 100 plus.
Yeah.
For this movie.
It's the first weekend in May.
Hopefully it tapers off now. Hopefully
it's gonna die. The problem is,
it always tapers off, but you know what I mean.
See, the problem is that Godzilla comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I bet they're pissed because they're probably like, man, we probably could have opened this the week after Spider-Man and just cleaned up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now they're really going to clean up when that comes out.
Oh, in 2 weeks, Spider-Man's gone.
Yeah.
What?
Because Neighbors comes out this weekend, and that's an R-rated comedy, so it's not going to do. Yeah, it's not going to really.
It's not real competition.
Yeah, it's not real competition for Spider-Man, but
it's only going to have 2 solid weeks, and that's it. And the word of mouth is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think CinemaScore gave it a B+, which is not very.
Yeah, that's actually bad. No. That's actually bad.
Yeah.
Like, because CinemaScore is what the audience thinks.
Yeah.
And usually, like, almost every movie is like, A, A-, A-, A+. And if it's below an A, it's like, oh. Yeah. It's like, so.
I'm surprised at how many critics put anything favorable about this.
But,
we talked about
and we did. And that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because what was interesting to me about all the quote-unquote positive reviews is how damning they were. They're basically like, yeah, it's a big fat piece of shit, but it's fun. It's
here's a B+.
Yeah, it's a positive review.
Like,
it's like, no, that's a damning review.
Yeah.
You're basically saying that this movie fails on every level as a movie, but hey, it's fun action movie, yay!
It's called "Here's the Money from the studio."
Exactly.
Give it a good review.
I mean, it was not good.
But even so, on Rotten Tomatoes, before we walked into that
movie,
movie,
it was like 56.
It was 56%.
It was below. So
it was right on that borderline.
Man of Steel was 56%.
Right.
I didn't think this would go anywhere near that number, and it went below before it even came out.
Now it's 54%.
Yeah,
but
what? Admit it, Man of Steel is better than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It is.
Yeah.
But see the thing.
Not better than Thor.
The thing that's
you're right, because Thor is the model for everything to aspire.
No, he's just a model.
Yeah. Right.
But
if you know what I mean.
The thing is. That's more damning about Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you go to like the top critics section of Rotten Tomatoes for Man of Steel, it's still right around 50-something. It's clearly divided the critics. But if you go to Spider-Man, when I checked that before we went to the movie, it was like 34% positive from the top critics. And so you're like, ooh, that's a stinker.
I still can't imagine any top critic giving that a good review without having their pockets filled. I mean, there's no way you can call that a good movie.
I actually thought that it was a step backwards for comic book movies and how far they've come.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you see something like, and actually I just got into it with somebody online on Facebook. My friend posted something about the Spider-Man movie, and somebody was talking about what the best superhero movie is and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, The Dark Knight is the best one, I think. And this one guy's like, oh, it's overrated, it's pretentious. I'm like, no, it elevated the game. It changed what a superhero movie could be. Now, not all movies need to be like that.
No. It's very specific kind of...
Yeah, as Avengers proved.
Right.
Wolverine, yes, you might want to be a little bit more like the Dark Knight because he's more of a ground level character. But yeah, Spider-Man, by basically going back to the Schumacher well, and unabashedly so, it's a real step backwards. And I hope that the $92 million it made this first weekend, basically, I hope it drops off a cliff, and then that's it. So people don't try and go back and say, well, let's go with that Spider-Man formula, because then we're going to get a lot of crappy movies again.
You brought up a good point when we were talking about this the other day. In these movies, this one particularly, it's like I see why they want to do what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like you said, no one has found the right mix to write Spider-Man yet to bring him to life, right? Off the page onto the screen. No one's ever found that right mix of a character to really put on screen.
I feel like, and this is a good segue into talking about the older films, that I feel like each one has gotten like bits and pieces of it right, but we still haven't gotten that one great Spider-Man.
Yeah, you nailed it there, because you see what they want to do here, and even though you know these two people couldn't do it if they wanted to, but Spider-Man, part of him does have that because he's a younger guy, so he does have that side of his personality that's funny and whimsical, and but whenever they try to play that part, they always just play it up like to the fucking roof, and don't worry about anything else, right? And then it just falls apart every time.
Whereas in the Raimi movies, he didn't do it all that much at all.
Right.
Tobey Maguire was.
Right. It was the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, he wasn't as naturally comical as Garfield is.
Yeah. If you took Andrew Garfield and put him in Spider-Man 2, I think that is the perfect Spider-Man movie.
See, and we've had this discussion several times off the podcast, clearly, but my biggest problem with Spider-Man 2, and it is the best one. It is the best one of all the Spider-Man movies. For me, that's faint praise, though, because I'm like, there's something wrong with all the Spider-Man movies, but with the very various degrees of problems. My biggest problem, though, with Spider-Man 2, I liked Doc Ock. I liked that they finally had a Spider-Man villain with motivation, real motivation, because nobody else seems to have it. I mean, like Spider-Man 3, which, of course, was an abortion, but... Yeah, right. I mean, literally, Sandman and Venom meet up in an alley and go, "Hey, let's get Spider-Man."
Let's do this thing.
It was so stupid. And Sandman has no reason to go get Spider-Man.
None at all. So, they don't give Flint any reason. Yeah.
So Doc Ock was fine. I liked Molina in the role. I thought he was great. Tobey Maguire, I just can never warm up to him. So that is definitely a sticking point for me. But fine, whatever. The biggest problem I have with Spider-Man 2, though, was the Spider-Man No More part of it. And the reason why I had a problem with it, not because that's a bad storyline, it's a great story from the comics. But in the comics, Peter Parker quits being Spider-Man because he chooses to quit being Spider-Man. It's fucking up his life. He's like, I can't, keep a girlfriend. I can't do this, can't do that. I got to stop being Spider-Man. I'm done. And then that was great. And then stuff happens. He's like, oh, I got to be Spider-Man again. And it's a good arc for him. In the movie, they give him like spider erectile dysfunction.
The psychological aspect.
He loses his powers.
Either way, he can't do what he needs to do.
Exactly. If you lose your powers, you can't be Spider-Man anymore. Yeah. It's just, it takes the decision. It takes the choice out of his hands. And I thought that was a huge, huge mistake in that movie. Because that's like a pivotal storyline in the comics. And it was great that Raimi tried to go and do it, but I felt they really dropped the ball on that. And I was just like, come on. The other thing is, too, I never really warmed up to Dunst as Mary Jane. I never liked her as Mary Jane.
Like her either, yeah.
Emma Stone is a better love interest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And I'm surprised they made her Gwen Stacy when I believe she naturally is a blonde, but she dyes her hair red because she wanted to stand out in Hollywood.
Everyone knows her as a
redhead. I'm surprised they didn't make her Mary Jane to begin with. But
I thought it was the other way around.
No. She dyes her hair red because she wanted to stand out.
She's a natural blonde. I mean, not as blonde as she's portrayed in Gwen Stacy, but she's a natural blonde. Yeah.
And I really hope they find some way to let Shailene Woodley continue to be Mary Jane. She was supposed to be in this one, but there was just
too many villains. We got cut.
Too many villains. We have to cut the.
You were right about this one when we talked about this. Mm-hmm. It would be kind of. It would be with the ending pod to have like the look. Well, we've already been
with the ending that's in this movie, it would have been.
Well, we've already spoiled everything else.
True.
You know what? Fuck it. It's a bad movie. You shouldn't see it, even if for us telling you this. In the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Gwen Stacy dies, and
that's straight from the comics.
Right. It would just not work to have him go right into his next love interest right after the woman that he's in love with
Yeah, his first love.
His first love dies, right in front of him.
And to be honest, for those of you who love the Sam Raimi movies, the first Spider-Man movie, the climax of that movie when the Goblin throws Mary Jane off the bridge, that's actually how Gwen Stacy dies in the comic book. That whole scene plays out. It's just you just substitute the girls, and then their fates are different.
Instead, in this movie, she can't be saved by semen.
No, she can't be. Yeah. Spider semen.
Semen morphed into fingers.
Right. Now you love Spider-Man 2.
I do. I think it is one of the best comic book movies ever made.
And you're wrong. But can you tell me why we're wrong?
Well, I mean, just look at the consensus. It's listed right up there with The Dark Knight and now The Avengers as one of the top 3-4 comic book movies ever made.
I don't know that I've ever thought about it. I really liked it. I definitely side more with Matt here. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know if I'd have to look at the list and look at the ranking, but it's a pretty solid movie.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's here's the problem with Amazing Spider-Man 2, and in some respects, I think some other comic book movies these days, like The Dark World, would be another one. You can tell, I think, when a director is invested in the character, when they care about the character and they're invested in it, and they're knowledgeable about the character. It comes across in the movie,
right?
And the movie is so much better for it. Yeah, like the Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers know Captain America, right? And they're fans of Captain America.
And the guys who
that's right. It's not like they were signed on to direct the movie and then had to study up. Yeah, after the fact.
They weren't hired guns. They they auditioned for the job. Right. I mean, they went and
because they did sitcoms and stuff like that.
And that's the same with Raimi. He loves
Spider-Man, and you could tell in the final product that there's a real warmth to the movie. There's a soul to the movie. I mean, he really cares about Spider-Man, and it comes across. And
you could see that.
There are glaring issues, but that's a pretty solid movie.
But here's the thing: when a movie is that good, I think all these movies have issues. I mean, if you nitpick them apart, you can find all this stuff wrong. I mean, even with The Dark Knight and
Captain America too. Captain America.
The thing with The Dark Knight is that it does have issues in it, but to me, the overall whole was so good that it just made me forget about those issues.
Well, that's what I think about Spider-Man too. Yeah. I mean, I think on a whole, it is such a good movie that it does make sense in some parts, but I overlooked that because everything else was so good. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do that in like Man of Steel or The Dark World. It was just such a mediocre movie that when that happens, it opens itself up to nitpicking. Yep. And stuff that you normally wouldn't care about in other movies suddenly becomes a big deal to you.
Even though you liked it better the second time around?
By better, I mean, let's talk about it. 7.5 is better than 7.4, okay? So when I say it's better the second time around, it's actually worse the third time around. In case you're wondering.
Yeah. You saw it again?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I have the Blu-ray.
Okay. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got plenty of Blu-rays.
Yeah. In the wrapper.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. And the other thing too, I think for me is also.
Do you not think it's the best Spider-Man movie? What's your
he said he thinks
it's the best of the five. Right, but to me, they could make it. It could be even better. And I think it's. I think it's partly. Agreed. I think what partly it is like I was never enamored with the Spider-Man movies, the Raimi. Because I think it's also because Raimi, I didn't like his style too. Yeah. I didn't like his B-movie style that was in there, and it was too campy for me. Like there was too many campy parts. Like the surgery scene with Doc Ock. It was so campy. I was just like,
oh, see, I didn't think that was campy at all.
Oh, I did.
Wait. When he wakes up,
I know it is.
You talking about when when he kills everybody?
Yeah, but no,
that was campy.
No, what I'm talking about, it's not campy so much. It was very B-movie-ish with like the camera angles and the shots and stuff like that, and like the way the doctors behave. It's like it just seemed a little.
It's very Evil Dead-ish.
Which is fine because I liked Evil Dead too. I liked Evil Dead too.
Evil Dead is played as a B type of movie,
right? But and I liked Evil Dead too. It's just I didn't think that meshed with Spider-Man.
I to be honest, it's been so long since I've revisited any of those movies. I don't remember the shot for shot how that scene worked, but I don't remember feeling that way about it. Right. I'll have to check that out.
I just remember sitting in the theater. I was just like,
okay.
Yeah, I think it holds up. There was Spider-Man 1 I thought was good. It was not great.
Spider-Man 1...
I liked it. I didn't...
My thing with Spider-Man 1 was that I loved everything up until the Green Goblin showed up. I loved all the stuff with him discovering his powers and stuff like that. I didn't even mind the organic web shooter. I didn't mind that stuff.
Yeah,
I like it
better now. I appreciate it better that he gets to show off that he's a fucking smart scientist.
No, so do I. I like the
To a point.
To a point.
Right,
Yeah,
to a point.
yeah. If we want to revisit how smart we think he is in Amazing Spider-Man 2, when he uses
he was way smarter in Amazing Spider-Man.
He uses YouTube videos to figure out electricity, and Mary Jane just explained magnets to him.
Gwen Stacy.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But the first movie, I loved everything up until the Green Goblin, and then the Green Goblin, I just felt like they got him completely wrong, and that's what I was going back to about.
Well, they got the suit wrong.
Well, yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah, I think Willem Dafoe played it magnificently.
Yeah, he did well. The suit was bad, but also it's what I was talking about, like with Doc Ock with the motivation and stuff like that. Like the Green Goblin's whole thing is like, you're not gonna take my company away from me. He kills the board of directors with a bomb that disintegrates people. I think the army might be interested in that. Just
Well,
a
they were
note.
interested. That's why they were there. Right.
No.
This is at the Unity Festival.
At the Unity Festival.
Oh, the Unity
Well, right there, the Unity Festival. That was a clear like, what did Batman '89 do?
Yeah.
Let's put a parade in this.
Right.
And then it was just like a lot of dumb things after that.
I agree this is a weak motivation, but I still accepted the fact that, okay, well, he just went fucking insane.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just insanity. He is evil for insanity's sake.
Yeah.
Is it a very weak motivator? Yes.
Well, it's not really motivation. It's just circumstances.
Right.
Point,
But that's the idea, right? At that point, we talked about this. It's less of him having the motivation for his company, more that he's just gone insane.
Yeah.
So and I accepted that, and I was okay with it.
So he did have that motivation there up to the point where I mean, he was so desperate to keep his company
right
that he tried this
that he experimented on himself and turned himself into this insane monster.
Yeah.
And after that, it's just
Yeah, I agree. There is a lack of motivation when he becomes a goblin, but I also think that
and he gets everything he wants after the Unity Festival. I'm like,
but I accepted the fact in the realm of that movie that he was just insane at that point.
Yeah, I guess.
Now you want to talk about a mirror scene done well?
Now what is it? Real quick.
Was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
You're right.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said. I mean, to me, Spider-Man 1 is like half a good movie.
In the
like,
comics,
the rest of it's
comics, because I didn't read the comics. I don't read.
Ever.
Oh,
that's not true.
I
have broken his streak.
I have read for the first time in I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Matt's first novel, and it
Welcome
is good.
back. Welcome back to the
good.
reading life.
It's good. Yeah, you'll have to check that out. We'll definitely have you back on to talk about that at some point. But in any case, what is Goblin's in the comic? What is his motivation against Spider-Man? What is, or is it always the company thing? What is his?
I think it's just because Spider-Man fucked up his stuff. Mainly.
Yeah, I mean he's not crazy. Norman Osborn is
right. He's a smart.
He's
man,
a smart
right?
businessman.
Yeah.
He's kind of Lex Luthor-ish.
Yeah.
In the comics.
Now in Ultimate Spider-Man, this seemed like where Amazing Spider-Man 2 was trying to go a little bit, sort of. He takes the serum and he actually turns into a monster, like a goblin monster.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what they try to do. With Harry.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But they fucked it up.
Okay.
So, and what's funny is though too is that a lot of the stuff in that first Ultimate Spider-Man arc was already done in Amazing Spider-Man. Like they fight in the school and stuff like that, and they just put the Lizard in.
Yeah.
And that's what sucked about the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is that he was basically the Green Goblin.
Right. He wasn't a character of its own.
He wasn't the actual Lizard because the Lizard is Jekyll and Hyde. He's not.
I mean, they messed
crazy.
up both parts of that. They messed up his character as a whole and the look of the character. I did not.
They were off on the wrong foot in the first movie. In the first movie of this reboot.
Right.
Raimi had it set up. I mean, even
he had.
He did.
He had a storyboard.
He had the Lizard set up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that he could have just seamlessly.
That's
been
right.
worked into this
Absolutely.
movie.
Exactly.
It would not have been a rehash of the origin story, which nobody wants to see ever again.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too is that I would have had.
Who was it that played him?
Dylan
Walsh.
Yeah. Yep.
I would have had no problem with them just saying Tobey Maguire out, Andrew Garfield in, and then just continued it from there.
Yeah.
I would have had no problem with that.
You're right.
You still could have done the Gwen Stacy thing because she was still alive.
There was nothing that you couldn't have done that would have still worked better because it's like you said, this whole introduction of his mom and dad thing is terrible.
It's awful. It's so bad, and it just ruins the movies.
Well, it's not the only thing.
Well, that's true. But I mean, they had it right there.
Yeah.
And it would have been so much better if they just said, we acknowledge that those other 3 movies exist. Well, 2 movies. And we're just
no! You got to take responsibility for Spider-Man 3, buddy.
No.
Even Spider-Man 3. I mean, they can't all be winners, but it was still in that realm of the right direction.
The only thing that was good about that movie was the effects on Sandman. That's about it.
Yeah.
And now, granted, it wasn't Raimi's fault for Venom because they made him put Venom in the movie.
And you could tell too.
Oh yeah,
well, he hated it.
He was not a fan of Venom.
It was an afterthought.
Yeah, he hated Venom, and then they made him put him in the movie, and then you could tell.
He's like, well, fuck you guys.
Yeah, here's a little turd in the shape of Topher Grace.
But I'm saying it was still in the right realm of or feel for a Spider-Man universe. It's this Amazing Spider-Man crap. I just can't get behind. Both these movies so far have been just shit.
What's funny is that the new one is almost like a reboot of the reboot.
Yeah.
Because they in the beginning they reintroduce the fact that they're a couple even though they were not at the end of the last movie.
They do.
And they do all this and then they have to break up again and it was
so that's another
I think you mean like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that, it's
enough.
They're in such a rush to get all of the villains in this movie that I think they rushed the Gwen Stacy storyline. I think they needed one more movie of being a couple.
I was about to say, they didn't need to rush this movie because it felt every bit the 2.5 hours that it is.
I think the end of this movie, or Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Gwen Stacy dies, I don't feel that connection to her because we've only seen her for a little over a movie and a half.
You're absolutely right. She was dead, and I was literally just like,
yeah, whatever.
He did, but Garfield did play that scene great. I mean, he was really good.
And I'll say this is one positive thing about the movie: the sound effects when that death happened,
the
thud, and
you hear
the snap and then the thud. That was great.
And his crying face is much better than Tobey Maguire's.
His crying face. Maguire's the shame.
I'm amazing too.
That is my one complaint about the Raimi pair of movies that he did.
The 3 movies he did?
The
3 movies he did?
Spider-Man 1 and 2.
The 3 movies he did?
I owned it up. It's still a Raimi movie.
I don't like to talk about the third one very much. I don't like to admit that it exists.
Well, guess what? It does. Yeah. Just like Indiana Jones 4, it does.
It's terrible, but it's still in that universe.
Let's just talk about... I'm only talking about the first 2 movies here.
Okay.
Tobey Maguire, I thought, was... when he's Peter Parker, he's okay. He was all right as sort of the nerdy, dweeby kid. But it's when he got to be Spider-Man that it never really felt like Spider-Man to me. Like Andrew Garfield, I thought he did a pretty good job. He felt more like Spider-Man that I pictured in my head forever.
The costume looks great. The new costume looks great.
For me, he still plays it better overall regardless. But for me, he's the exact opposite. Because in this movie particularly, I felt his portrayal of Peter Parker was off. Yeah. Because at the beginning, he looks like he's fucking cool.
He's a little too cool for school.
He's got a Thrasher shirt on, and he does the kiss on Mary Jane where he's cool, and I'm like, wait a second, what is? Damn it, I did it again. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, he's fucking. He's a little hipster, is what he is. But, but I take that as you become a superhero long enough, your self-esteem's gonna grow a little bit, but still, it's not Peter Parker.
Here's one thing. I have
a little problem with that.
Here's one thing.
Gwen Stacy.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did right. Here's one thing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did right that Sam Raimi did wrong in every single movie that he did. Spider-Man never once takes off his fucking mask.
That is true.
In the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire must have had some kind of clause in his contract that you have to see my face for 90% of this movie.
Yeah. Show it all bloody and
he could not keep that mask on to save his life. Yeah. And Garfield, now they took it off in the last one because that was a plot point. And he took it off at the very end, but I mean, he's born.
And this one, they should have torn up and great.
Yeah,
but
the mask stays on, and I was like, "Thank you." That's the one thing you got right.
Good point.
Yeah,
because I mean that annoyed the hell out of me.
He was constantly taking it off.
Constantly, and his face is so punchable in the first place. It's just like Spider-Man. I want to punch you in the face. Tobey Maguire hates you. He's half the reason why Great Gatsby got a D.
Tell us how you feel.
Because he was the narrator. He's got the most annoying voice ever, and he's the narrator of The Great Gatsby. Whatever it was!
I'll go with 40%, because at least 60% of that's Lerman. Come on.
That's true. Best Lerman's a jackass. But
anyway.
Whoever he is, somebody's got to stop him! If they ever do a live-action Simpsons movie, Tobey Maguire should play the pimply-faced kid that works at the Krusty Burger. Are you guys going to the prom? I'm Tobey Maguire. Leonardo DiCaprio is my best friend.
Oh, man.
Leonardo DiCaprio, the guy who supposedly was going to be Spider-Man, and James Cameron's.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Or is that just a poster somebody made? That might have just been a poster somebody made. But I thought that was actually a rumor, wasn't it?
I don't know.
That DiCaprio was going to be Spider-Man.
That was a long.
That was a long time ago. But that was when James Cameron was supposed to be doing it.
They should bring him back.
I don't know. His script was actually kind of out there.
I don't care.
It's kind of like the Aronofsky Batman, where it's like, yeah, Bruce Wayne is raised by a mechanic named Big Al. What? James. Look up James Cameron's Spider-Man. I think you probably find out his script.
I read the synopsis of it before, but I almost don't care at this point. Anything besides Mark Webb.
The other problem. See, the other thing is too is that, and Raimi. I will give Raimi this. He tried his best to stick as close to the '60s comics as he could. This new one is like mixing and matching Ultimate Spider-Man and normal and regular Spider-Man, and you really can't do it because they don't mesh.
That goes back to what Matt was saying.
Yeah.
He cared. He cared about the character. Yeah. He knew what the character was rooted in.
Right.
And he knew what character he was trying to portray.
Right.
Whereas Weber's just trying to create a generic superhero on the screen that has a costume.
Spider-Man stories. Thank you very much.
We should have Mark Webb on the show.
Yeah. He fit in well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, because in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, Gwen Stacy is like a punk chick basically. She's like a real. She's not a brain at all. She's like a real rock and roll chick, and Mary Jane is the brain. And then they kind of switched their roles a little bit, and it worked. And Ultimate Spider-Man worked. That was written by Brian Bendis, and drawn for the most part at least the first 100 issues by Mark Bagley. And it's a great book. I mean, it really distilled Spider-Man and made it accessible to a new generation. And it was a great book.
By far the best of the Ultimate books.
Oh yeah. Well, X-Men was X-Men was interesting. Had interesting ideas, but it was too uneven because they had like Mark Miller started writing it, then Bendis did some of it, and then they brought in Miller back, and then they brought in somebody else. It was too wildly inconsistent. And then the other problem with the Ultimate X-Men is that the universe quickly got just as convoluted as the normal X-Men universe. Whereas they should have just stuck with a small team for several arcs and then slowly built it up. But, it's like Amazing Spider-Man 2. They just had to shove everybody into it and get Quicksilver in there as fast as possible.
Spider sausage.
Yeah.
That's what comes out.
That's very good metaphor.
Oh, thank you.
That's a very good metaphor. Yeah, so definitely check out The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's awesome.
Yeah, kind of like a review that we read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everything should except the last line. Check it out.
Check it out. It's great. It's great.
It's great.
No, definitely.
Looks good.
If you're gonna watch this, go watch it on video when it comes out. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money at the theater.
We realize there are those that are like us that are gonna have to see it regardless. But if you're on the fence or just don't care, you don't see it at all, or wait till you can pay $1 for it.
Yeah.
I want to start I think we need to start a Free Spidey campaign.
Oh yeah.
The hashtag Free Spidey. And get him back in Marvel. I know it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen, unfortunately.
That's a cash cow for them. Sony's not giving that up.
But I don't think they're going to have a choice. I think audiences will abandon them after a while. Just because, they under their contract, I think it's like every 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Really?
They have to make a Spider-Man movie. Otherwise, the rights revert back to Marvel, which is why we have this reboot in the first place.
Time.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I hope you're right.
Yeah. If this tanks, and it may not.
How much should it cost to make this movie?
But see, that's the thing. It was talk that it was up around $350-400 million with marketing costs. Okay. So they would have to make like $890 million for it to be worldwide. Sort of a profitable movie worldwide.
It's already made 300 something.
It has, but it's been out overseas for a couple weeks.
That's right. Yeah, it opened up overseas first.
And if the cinema score is right, and next weekend it drops like 60-70%.
It might not make those margins.
It's not going to make $890 million. Yeah. Cap, which was successful. It's really it was the most successful April movie ever. It's going to end up somewhere around $700 million.
Right.
And that was a popular,
well-received
movie.
The reviews for that movie spread like wildfire.
Yeah. The only problem with Cap is that Cap is not as well liked as Spider-Man.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't
character-wise.
Doesn't have the same panache.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Cap made more money than Amazing Spider-Man 2 in its opening weekend. Cap 2 made $95 million. Amazing Spider-Man 2 made 92.
And that's really damning for Amazing Spider-Man 2 because, like we said, that was an April movie where movies don't usually do. But this is the first movie of April. This is the first movie of the summer, and it made less than Captain America.
And it wasn't up against anything.
No. Exactly, it wasn't up against anything.
No, it has no excuse.
Neither was Cap to be.
But then again, we also live in a time where Captain America movie outsells Superman.
It's true.
Because Superman made what, $668 million, something like that.
Something
Cap
like that.
is already well past that. It's on its way to $700 million now.
Right.
The market has spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it sticks.
I hope it continues.
I hope you're right about Spider-Man. I just see so many people, us three really included, probably at least myself, that as long as they put out that Spider-Man movie, I'm probably gonna go. I'll be in the theater seeing it.
Unless I see Orsi and Kurtzman attached.
Even so, I'm gonna go see the movie.
I mean,
if not for Doug and I've got our duty to review the movie.
That's right. That's why
for you, the audience.
That's why your ass is gonna be at Transformers 4.
Yeah.
That's the two of you, though.
That's my asterisk.
I don't have this application to the audience. They don't need to hear me.
We made a deal.
As long as you're going to see Earth to Echo.
It's on iTunes. We made a deal.
As long as you're seeing Earth to Echo.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Can I bring my book to write it while I'm there?
And we're bringing Matt King to see Transformers.
No, you're not.
Yes, we are.
No.
We're going to knock you out like Mr. T in the A-Team and then
you're
drag you there. And you're going to wake up, chained to a chair, and you go, no!
Don't touch my book. No, I'm not going to see that movie.
Yes, you are. You are.
No.
But then you can't come to the podcast and talk
I don't
about
even
all
blame
the
this guy
Transformers movies.
Because
Yeah.
I haven't even seen. I've seen half of 2.
Oh my god!
I after
you didn't even see the whole one of the second one?
Because after the first one, I stopped. I said no, and it was on TV halfway through, and I happened to see half of 2.
The third one is on TV these days. It's on like FX,
Yeah,
and it's like 3.5 hours long with all the freaking commercials.
I haven't seen it because what's the point? I already know what it's going to be. So.
Really
if you just want to see Optimus Prime characterized as a vicious, bloodthirsty murderer.
The only thing I'll always contend that they do get right in those movies is the look of Optimus Prime. He looks.
No, I don't even buy fantastic. That. I don't like his lips and all that shit.
I
hate his face. He just needs to have the face plate and.
I think he looked right. I think all the rest of them look like horse shit.
Oh, of course, yeah, because they don't look anything like anything in the cartoon.
It's Michael Bay's. This is gonna be awesome. Type of thing. And it's like I see the trailer for. I've seen the trailer. I'm not gonna watch the damn movie, but I've seen the trailer for 4, and I see a robot with a trench coat.
Oh god, the metal trench coat
falling through the air. A metal fucking trench coat falling through the air with submachine guns in each hand.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all he's missing is the white doves, and it's John Woo. But it's a fucking robot.
I know metal doves.
And so I saw the Optimus Prime design. It's like these are supposed to be robots who are trying to disguise themselves.
Yeah.
Why would you choose the gaudiest, most butt ugly truck on the planet?
Yeah.
And think that you're gonna blend in? You know? No, it was just Michael Bay going, "Oh, put some fucking flames on this thing. It's gonna be rad." No, he's such a fucking douchebag. I hate that guy. So that's why I'm not going to see Transformers.
You'll be there.
So Michael Bay, great.
Another former music or a video director.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Mark Webb.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. Mark Webb did that.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a pattern with these.
Yeah.
No.
That is the realm of music videos. Flash.
No,
Flash.
not so fast. That's also how David Fincher got his start too.
Hack.
Whoa! All right, you just offended everyone.
Yeah. So anyway, stay away from Amazing Spider-Man 2 if you can.
Yeah.
Pull yourself away from the theater.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Let's make this happen.
Yeah. Don't go see that piece of shit.
Don't do it. Don't. It's like that.
Don't do white lines. Don't.
No. From Grindhouse. That the fake trailer for the horror movie. Don't. Don't.
Playing at the Metroplex.
So that'll do it for this episode.
Thanks to Matt King for stopping in. He is a godsend.
Oh.
Dropping the sun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sure. Matt will be back for our X-Men episode in a few weeks, and when we go to see X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But our next episode is going to be another installment of Listen to This, as long as we can get it past the iTunes censors. So they haven't taken out the other two, so here's the hoping.
What are you going to be listening to?
Oh, well, you'll have to listen to this.
To this.
Oh,
it's a jump.
2 for 2.
It's a jump to conclusions, Matt.
Oh, wow.
But we'll see you next time, folks.
Take care.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man.